What up, what up? It's the Athletic Hockey Show. It is November 19th, 2025. I am Sean Gentile, and I am joined by two guys who aren't going to finish the game in New York in a couple months. Frankie Corrado and Sean McIndoe.
Is that a promise? You
Fellas?
Promise?
I think you left out a word
brother.
from the soundbite, but
You know, I have a list of words we're not allowed to say on this anymore.
okay.
And it'll shock you that Patrick Waugh last night dropped one of those in his caught on mic rant after a hit by Miko Rantanen. Fellas, let's just start there. That seems like that's the thing that everybody's talking about today. Let's start with the hit itself. It's Rantanen on Ramonov. I actually just watched it the first time. I was so taken aback by what Waugh said. So tickled by what he said that I didn't actually watch the hits. So what do we think there?
Are we going to have a conversation on the hit, or are we talking about the code? Because I think there's two things at play here, right? Like there's the hit that happens, and if we're breaking down the hit, like Rantanen is not a dirty player. He doesn't have this inclination to run guys from behind. He's a strong physical guy, but this is not something that we've seen from Mikko Rantanen. If someone can post a compilation of Rantanen running guys in the numbers that I am not aware of, go for it. Prove me wrong. But this is an isolated thing by Rantanen. And when you watch the play develop, you can clearly see like Mayfield is trying to get his stick into the way of Rantanen. So he impedes Rantanen a little bit, which rightfully so. Like that's your right to do as a defenseman to a certain degree. You run a little interference, whatever you can get away with. And then their skates collide. And it's the worst spot on the ice. It's like 3-4 feet away from the boards. Romanov's facing the boards. Rantanen's a huge body. So he's his momentum's taking him into Romanov. It's just a bad storm of a hit, really. Like that's not a guy's making a play and you go and truck stick him from behind and finish, the guy's face into the boards. Now, okay, that's the hit part, but the code, like we talk about the code on all kinds of things. The coach yelling at the opposing player and saying you're not going to finish the game, like that's not cool. Like coaches don't like that type of stuff. That's kind of crossing the line. Listen, like I have all kinds of time for Patrick Waugh. He was very gracious. We called a CHL series, his team in Quebec versus Halifax, and he was very gracious with his time. He talked to us before every game. He was awesome to deal with, but I think that's one of those ones you got to let the players talk about that stuff. Right? You want to talk to Gulletson? Sure. Like you can talk to the coach, but you can't talk to the players. And I thought the way Gulletson handled it afterwards in the media, just kind of breaking down the hit and how, it was a little bit of an accident. And I thought Gulletson handled it really well. So two things at play. I don't know if you guys disagree on any of that, but that's my kind of first thought on everything that went down last night.
Yeah, and we should be clear if anyone listening to this didn't hear the comments or doesn't know the context for Patrick Waugh. This is Patrick Waugh yelling at Mikko Rantanen as he's leaving the ice. Okay, this isn't like a soundbite after the game or him saying something to the media, but
it's like he's picked up clear as day on a boom mic.
Very
too.
clear.
This wasn't like you hear
because you've got an injured
distance.
player, right? The arena's quiet. Like nobody's really making much noise other than Patrick Waugh, who's yelling at him that the next time they play, you're not going to effing finish the game. Which, even given that it's heat of the moment, and I'm sure stuff gets said between the benches that we don't hear quite as clearly and everything, the league is not going to like that. Ever since Colorado, Vancouver, and Todd Bertuzzi and all of that stuff, the league does not want to hear anything that could sound like a threat or a promise or
premeditated. Bingo.
Yeah,
it's a great
any of
point.
That. And remember what that situation was with Colorado and Vancouver. That was Mark Crawford, who was Patrick Waugh's coach in Colorado during all the crazy Detroit stuff. So, I mean, there's a connection there that, I'm sure Patrick Waugh knows that he shouldn't have said it, or at least that he is not happy that he got caught saying it. And he knows that phone call is coming. It's probably already happened. And he knows that the next time these two teams play, now it's going to be a bigger deal for the league. The league, I'm sure, will send people, just like they sent Parros to the Panthers Lightning game. They'll do that whole thing and warn everyone and make sure that nothing comes of it, because you just can't have a situation where something happens and instead of being a spur of the moment, oh, this just happened on the ice, it becomes premeditated. The coach, told me to do it. The coach gave me the go ahead. So that's going to be a problem for Patrick Roy and the Islanders. It'll be a fine or it'll be something, and it'll make it much harder for them to do anything down the line if they were even inclined to do it. I tend to agree with you, Frankie, on the hit. I think they sort of clipped skates, and it was a more of an unfortunate situation than anything. But it was 5 minutes, and they did review it.
Yeah,
and they stuck
Fair
with
enough.
the 5 minutes. So I don't know. Do we think suspension coming?
I don't think so. I don't think so, because the 5-minute major is probably the fitting punishment where you could look at it and say, time served. Like, he did it, right? And
the league kind of looks at that as like almost a 1-game suspension of its own. We've seen that in the past from them.
Yeah, and these two teams play against on March 26.
I mean, we've all had these conversations in one way or another. Like, I used to talk to someone with the Department of Player Safety when hits were an even bigger problem. Dirty hits were a bigger problem. We were talking about suspensions and whatever else every other game, it felt like. And something that always stuck with me that this person said over and over and over again is like, some dirty hits are just penalties. Like, that's that you gotta remember that. Like, that's what the major's for. Like, sometimes stuff can be dirty and it can be a hit that you don't want without rising to the level of, get this guy out for 3 or 4. My question, Frank, this is probably more for you. Is there any chance that when Waz doing video or whatever, he looks at that and says like, okay, actually it wasn't, Mayfield got his stick out a little bit. Like, maybe it goes the guy's like, you know what? Never mind. Don't injure this guy on March 26th. It actually wasn't as bad as I thought.
There's probably some people and some coaches that would look at that and say, okay, maybe I was a little off.
I overreacted a little bit, right?
Don't know.
Something tells me that's not in the cards here, though.
I don't know if that's the guy who's gonna say that, right? Like, he has been, if anything, throughout his entire playing and coaching career, staunch in his opinion on how he views things, for better or worse. Obviously made him incredibly successful as a goaltender and has had a lot of success as a coach now at the junior level, at the NHL level. So no, I think he could watch it 100 times over, and I'm just purely speculating. Like, I have no inside knowledge, but it just strikes me as the type of guy that's watching that.
Wad didn't call you last night? It didn't text you like, hey, I checked.
I'm sure
I checked
he's
the hit.
watching
It's actually
that,
not that bad.
being like, everyone else is wrong and I'm right. But here's my other question. Okay, a coach throws out, let's call it a promise. Let's not call it a threat. Let's just call it a coach throws out a promise to a player that he's not going to finish the game.
It's about the implication, as Dennis Reynolds once said. Yes.
So if you go through the Islanders roster right now, and by the way, the Islanders have done an unbelievable job this year standing up for Matthew Schaefer. Like, anytime something has happened to him specifically, it's everyone in, and let's just pack mentality it, right? No one has to feel like they're an underdog or outgunned or whatever. But this is different. This is like, if you're talking about Miko Rantanen, he's 6'4", 225 pounds. Like, he's a force. And you're going to trying to envision how he doesn't finish this game, which is crazy to talk about it the way we're talking about it. Who's doing that? I'm looking at their roster right now. Like, who is it? Like, is Matt Martin?
It might be Patrick Roy. He might be the guy.
Yeah. It would be Patrick, number one. And number two would be if Matt Martin potentially came out of retirement. I'm not even convinced that would get it done. Like, no one's doing it. So listen,
spike his drink at intermission.
Yeah, like emotions run high, heat of the moment, right? Like, that's been forever. Very fired up. But I think when everything kind of blows over, maybe his opinion of the hit won't change, Sean, but his reaction to it afterwards, I'm sure he would probably say, yeah, that was a little too far.
It's two teams. They're not in the same conference. So you're right. They don't play again for 4 months. This might be a very different situation if it was a home and home. If this was like the Rangers and the Islanders at the old school Patrick Division home and home series, where you'd be worried that tempers are still going to be hot. But I got to say this, you guys maybe saw me perk up a few minutes ago, because I knew I'd seen somewhere they don't play for 4 months. They don't play till March. Okay, that's the way the schedule works. But Frankie, you said it, and I just double checked it. You're right, March 26th. March 26th? Does this date mean anything to anyone? I know it means a lot to some fans in Colorado and Detroit. March 26th, famously, that's fight night at the Joe. And who was in the middle of that? I seem to like there was Claude Lemieux and Darren McCarty, and there was some crazy goaltender who went nuts. That Patrick Waugh. You telling me Patrick Waugh is not looking at the calendar and seeing March 26th and just twitching a little bit about payback? And because I'll tell you, who didn't finish the game that night was Claude Lemieux. So the game has changed a lot in 29 years, which is what we're talking about. It's changed a lot for the better. I'll say it. But yeah, I love that it's Patrick Waugh in the middle of this. I don't know if this is the hockey gods messing with us or what it is, but good old Patrick. He's gonna I'm sure hear about it a little bit in the next few days, and then in the lead up to that game, maybe hide the calendars from Patrick Waugh. Just do you remember?
Do you guys remember that old clip from, I think it was a high school football player? It went viral where he was talking about how you guys had us in the first half, right?
Not going to lie. Yep.
Not going to lie, Sean, you had me in the first half just there, because when you start talking about March 26th and you're like, do you guys know what March 26th is? And I'm like, yeah, it's my birthday. Like, why is he bringing up my birthday?
Wow. All right.
Oh, what the hell? And then you start talking about fight night. Like, oh, okay. Never mind. But yeah, you had me in the first half. Not going to lie.
Okay.
Who's going to be in the building for that one? This is going to be full like lumberjack match, like old school WWF mode where there's people like, it's going to be Peros. It's going to be whoever else. It's going to be the box will be full. with representatives from the league on March 20th. A real short drive. You can just take one of the town cars over from the league office to Elmont.
It's so funny when they do that, right? Like, I mean, we all had the day as kids where maybe there was a substitute teacher and everybody was being a little rowdy, and so like the vice principal had to come and sit in the back of the room with their arms crossed so that everybody would settle down. But I'm trying to imagine the scenario where some hockey player is like, man, I watched my teammate get taken out on a stretcher. I watched my teammate go to the hospital. I watched all this. I am going to, Gary Bettman's up there? Okay, yeah. I won't do anything.
Getzlaff's in the building. Oh, no.
Yeah. Oh, no, he's giving me a bad look. I don't know about that. The one guy is maybe Pronger. Pronger might do it. If Pronger just stands up and cracks his knuckles, I could see that settling everybody down. He's the one guy, but
he's got a big presence. Like Pronger walks in the room, you feel like he's in the room. We called a game in St. Louis last year, and I guess he was doing some of the intermission work, and he walked into the media area upstairs, and you're like, holy, like that's Pronger, right? He walks in and you notice. But you know what else you pay attention for? And I know it's a long way down the road, but the officiating, like deployment for that night. If for some reason that was a night where it might have been a younger referee, like there's a few young guys that are kind of getting started now and getting their feet wet. I think that's one of those ones where you go 1,500 games right across the board and say, like, if there was someone else scheduled to do that game, then sorry, we're going to go with a veteran crew because who knows what could happen. I think you just have to, when stuff like that gets caught on camera, and you can hear the audio of it and it's very evident, you have no choice really if you're the league, because you're negligent if you don't take the appropriate precautions, because you kind of got your warning shot right now that something could happen, and it's in your hands to try and mitigate it.
With Bertuzzi, right, and Steve Moore, the lawsuits and all of this stuff, so it really is it really does matter. By the way, that game in 4 months, March 26th, is in New York, and that does tend to matter who's got the home ice, and so now you've got to worry about the fans too, and what's that situation going to be like. My gut tells me 4 months from now this is not going to feel like a thing, that 4 months from now, about a few days before the game, somebody will point it out and be like, "Hey, remember?" And we'll go, "Oh yeah, that's right, that was a thing," and then nothing will end up happening. But the league is going to make sure that nothing happens by doing all the stuff that we've talked about, because you had Patrick Roy saying what he said.
And one other thing before, I know we got to go to break, but one quick one, like we kind of went through the Islanders and looked at their roster and said, well, who's going to be the guy? Like if this was something that were to happen, who would be the guy? I'm kind of happy the Islanders don't have, like they used to have Ross Johnston, right? Like Ross the boss.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy they don't have a guy like that on their roster right now for that guy. Because if there was a single dude that you're like, that guy's a heavy, right? Like pick your guys, whether it's Deloyer or Johnston or Olivier. Like now
Trevor
that guy's got to live. Like, exactly. That guy has to live the next 4 months kind of wondering, like, do I have to take out Rantanen or something 4 months from now and like kind of deal with the stress and the anxiety that comes with that? It's not an easy job as it is, like knowing that on any given night you have to take punches and fight. Like guys lose a lot of sleep over that. Like 4 months is different than 4 days. And that would be a long time for like that one guy to think about, man, what the hell does that night hold in store for me?
There was actual hockey played in that game, by the way. The Islanders beat Dallas 3-2. I wanted to mention Matthew Schaefer because I feel like we're on highlight watch for him every game at this point. Like he's aesthetically just such a fun guy to watch, in addition, to the substance and overall really solid play. He had one of the sicker, almost goals you'll see from a rookie defenseman. I think that's fair to say. He went behind his back and through his legs to kind of get outside and put a shot on Dallas. I mean, he's the best rookie in the league. He's been one of the 10 best defensemen, insanely enough, if you look at pretty much anything. Do you guys, Frankie, what's your takeaway on him after, a quarter's worth of the season? Because he's really, man, he's out kicking coverage and out shooting expectations. I feel like he's just so fun to watch.
It's crazy. It's amazing how fearless he is. Like that's the biggest thing. Like young defensemen, you're not supposed to be able to do the types of things that he does. You're almost just worried about surviving at this point in the league. But the fact that he skates so incredibly well, and you almost get mesmerized by his feet. Like if you're watching him, but also I guess if you're playing against him, like the little subtleties and the way he moves around, it's wild what he's able to do. And he just plays fearless, right? Like not loose in the sense that it's reckless or careless, but he's not necessarily afraid of what consequences are if you turn over a puck or if you were to turn over a puck, because he knows he can recover and he can get back. And a lot of times he's the first player back. It's pretty cool, man. Like I agree with you. Not only is he the best rookie, he's been one of the best defenseman stories in the NHL, and he's not even 20 years old. It's pretty remarkable what he's able to do. Like I think the last couple of years, we've kind of talked about how Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes are in like that category of their own. And then everyone else just kind of, Werenski gets up there. Adam Fox gets up, like take your pick of guys that kind of push up there. Like this is probably a guy that's going to be in that top tier for a long time now. And the Islanders just have been starving for a high-end elite player like this, who's flashy in all the right ways. But yeah, it's remarkable.
I said it to Chris Branch, who does the Pulse newsletter, which I'm sure everyone watching this or listening to this subscribes to. It's great. It's the second best newsletter at The Athletic,
Thank you.
obviously.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Contractually obligated to phrase it that way. But Branch asked yesterday specifically about some young guys, including one that we're going to talk about in segment 2, but he asked about Schaefer as well. And what I told Branch was, like, I feel like we're starting to watch defensemen, and this is going to make us, all three of us, feel ancient. We're starting to watch the generation of players that grew up watching Cale Makar. I feel like this is part of what you get. If you're Matthew Schaefer and you have that level of talent and you've been watching Cale Makar mixtapes for the last 6 years, that this feels like some kind of evolutionary step there where Makar's doing stuff that you can't teach and all that. But now it feels like we're getting closer to maybe seeing guys that watch the kind of stuff that he does and incorporates it into their game, right? And am I off
Cale
base
McCarr
there?
and Cale McCarr and
right.
Quinn Hughes were the guys who grew up watching Frankie Corrado. So it all comes back.
Hell yes.
Hell
yes.
No, I was just gonna say, like,
Directly.
if I look back at my experience, I was watching Drew Doughty on YouTube, and I was watching like PK Subban on YouTube, and so those guys were in the league. What, 2009, 2010? I was drafted in 2011. So yeah, man, and we're not that far away from the 12, 13-year-olds who are playing now, telling us, yeah, I used to watch Matthew Schaefer highlights. Like we're not that far away from that either. So you deal with that.
I'm done
Deal
when I
with
hear that soundbite from somebody. I'm out.
I gotta take a breather after that one too.
We're old.
Segment 2, we're gonna talk about some other young guys. I think you folks might have heard 2, we'll say youngish forwards had big nights last night. We're gonna talk about that after the break. All right, we're back. Fellas, I feel like at some points we're going to get sick of talking about Macklin Celebrini and Connor Bedard and what have you. It's going to happen. It's just human nature. It's going to be March, maybe March 26th. And we're going to be tired of talking about how good these guys have been, but I'm not there yet. Last night was another pretty big signpost for them. Both of them had hat tricks. It was the second day in NHL history to feature multiple hat tricks by players aged 20 or younger. When was the first, by the way?
Was that not Sid and Ovi?
No, I only know this because I saw it on Twitter, and I swear,
and I put it in the rundown.
Sean, if you ask me,
I'm not going to do it.
All right,
I didn't do it.
But it was like in 1940s, right? And it was both. It was 2 players on the Leafs.
It was.
What was the year?
Feb 1944 is the last time this happened.
So that's it, and that's even not that it doesn't count, but that's like World War II times where the rosters were very thin because of that. So that's probably why you had 2 teenagers doing it for the same team. But yeah, that's pretty amazing. And the
shout out to Jack Hamilton and Bud Poyle, who were the last 2 guys to do
there
it.
We go.
You've been
Bud Poyle.
passed.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Celebrini has 30 points now. He's the 4th teenager in history to do that. 4th, and I think you guys can guess the other 3. Who are the other 3 teenagers?
I have a thing that I reference, which is called the stat spoiler, which is that anytime you get one of these in hockey, like only X guys have done it, and you perk up, and then there's always one name that kind of ruins it, where they're like, this guy, this guy, this guy, and then they mention, and like Miroslav Freecher did it, and you're like, what? There's no stat spoiler on this
I'm a stat spoiler. I'm literally that guy, I think. Like, like, make NHL debut at 20 years old. Who was and it's like, oh, Kevin Bieksa.
You were, yeah, that's right.
That guy. And you're like, this bum that no one's ever heard of. I'm the stat spoiler guy. So who is it? It's got to be Crosby,
kind to yourself,
Ovechkin.
Frank. Come on.
I know. Crosby, Ovechkin.
No.
Crosby, Gretzky, Lemieux.
And that's it.
That
is all.
Absolutely wild. That's
crazy.
That's stunning. They Crosby and Lemieux once, Gretzky did it twice. By the way, just to show you what like intellectual level I'm working at today, I saw that and I was like, wow, it's crazy. Gretzky only did it twice. And then it took about 5 seconds before my other brain cell kicked in and was like, you idiot. Like, what was he playing when he was 14? Like, how many times is he supposed to do?
How many times can you possibly does the Indianapolis stuff count?
I don't think so. It wouldn't. No, it's an NHL record. So it's but I mean, this is crazy stuff because this is 20 games, right? This is not, not one game. Okay. That's impressive in its own right. But, we've seen guys have weird 1 game blips like the Sam Gagner effect kicks in sometimes.
That's what stops this from being a fake stat.
You're talking 20 games.
I feel like we've talked. Yeah, it's a long
30
time.
points, and it's not and those are nice round numbers too. This isn't like, here's the guys in 17 games have had 4 block shots and this and that, and they list 9 things, and it's like, okay, this is a real stat, and this is really impressive, especially when you look at the names that are not on that list. Frankie said Ovechkin, right? There's no McDavid, where there's no, McKinnon, Matthews, go down the list of guys you think of as great players. This is the real deal. And that's good company. I'm just going to go on the record and say, when you're on a Mount Rushmore with Gretzky, Mario, and Sid,
Yeah.
pretty good.
It's crazy too, because yes, they're having a lot of success. These guys are both playing over 20 minutes a night. Like it's not like they're just riding heaters either. It's not like, it's just like a little bit of a short sample size. Like, no, Connor Bedard has arrived, man. Like, Macklin Celebrini was unbelievable last year too, but there's always, it feels like, not always, but it feels like there's that sophomore slump. There's a reason why people have coined that term over the years. That is not the case for him. And both these guys, with the amount that they're playing on teams that, coming into the season, were not supposed to be good teams. Now, Chicago's exceeding all expectations. San Jose is definitely playing better than a lot of us thought. Like, who would have thought they would be above 500 at this point in the season with both of those rosters? It's remarkable. And now you look at the leaders in scoring in the NHL, and if you're Canadian, you're pretty happy seeing the names that are there. McKinnon, Celebrini, McDavid, Bedard, Scheifele. Top 5 Canadian. You're like, I'll take that. Like, the next wave of Canadian superstars have arrived, and they're taking the jump. And like, I'll just pose the question to you guys. Like, if both these guys don't make the team, so let's just say one of them makes the team for Team Canada at the Olympics, did the other one even have a shot? Like, if Celebrini makes the team and Bedard doesn't make it, you can honestly say, well, he just had no shot anyways, because there's literally nothing he could have done to put himself on that team, given the start to the season that he's had.
You
13
just say
goals, 29 points, playing 20 minutes a night, team successful.
Yeah.
What am I missing there?
If they're not both on the team, it's because the 200 hockey men putting this team together were not going to bring 2 young forwards. And that's the end of it. And they were competing with each other for the one spot that was even available, no matter how well they did. You're exactly right. But I think at this point, I think we're getting pretty close to, you know what, these two are in. And you just got to figure it out, because at some point, we know how these tournaments go. You're going to be locked in a game, and maybe it's not against Team USA. Might be Finland. It might be Latvia. Who knows who you're playing and what goalie gets hot, but you're going to be one goal away, and you're going to be looking down the bench going, do we need the checking line? Do we need the grinders? Or should we maybe have brought the most dynamic offensive players in the league that are sitting at home because they were too young and maybe they might make a mistake at some point? We'll see. And John Cooper gets a big say in this. What's his comfort level with playing guys like this? But I think the best way to do this, maybe the only way to do it in terms of getting both guys on, is they have to just kick down the door and leave no doubt. And they're doing it right now.
Don't you think they've done it? They've
so far,
done it.
Yep.
There's no way they haven't.
I'm interested to see what happens with Scheifele. I feel like he's the bubble guy who could maybe push off Bedard, because Frankie, you went through that list. It was the top 5 for young guys / superstars, and then number 5 was who? It's Mark Scheifele. Yep. I'm wondering if he's going to be the guy who's on the bubble, or at least was. Yeah. At least was recently, and you saw him last night. Like,
yeah,
what is?
I was doing that game.
Yeah,
I was doing the Jets Blue Jackets intermissions last night, and listen, like, Mark Scheifele has had a great season. I think last year it really felt like he took the 200-foot game to another level by his standards, anyways. Like, really seriously. And his line has been very consistent. Like, he's a big reason why that line kind of drives forward. I kind of look at this roster though, Sean, and I'm like, give me someone who's the best at what they do, right? So, like, right now, Connor Bedard is one of the best at scoring goals. And I can't help but wonder, like, if you are thinking Connor McDavid is the best playmaker, do I want to put the best playmaker with the best goal scorer who's got the best release of his shot? Left-handed shot.
Shouldn't all those goals
shot.
he's scoring from the slot specifically, that one last night, like that puts him on. It should. That puts him on my, like, last night I feel like was a tipping point for me personally.
Yeah, doesn't
like,
it start to percolate in your head a little bit? You're like, best playmaker, left-handed shot. Best shot release, right-handed shot. And I can have them working in unison together, and I'm going to pass on it for what? Why would I do that? I don't know. I would be so curious to see how that looks.
But we know how these decisions get made, right? Like, I mean, you look at Team USA leaving Tage Thompson at home for Four Nations, scratching Kyle Connor in a gold medal game so that Brock Nelson can take a shift because he's the grizzled guy who knows how to play the right way. Different country, obviously, but the same sort of thought process. I would just put it this way. Like, Sean, you're sitting down there in the States with your Team USA, your flag and your pennant and your jersey and all that, the way that you watch the games. Who do you not want to see when that lineup comes out? Who are you sitting there going, boy, I'm really worried. Are you worried about Macklin Celebrini and Connor Bedard, or are you sitting there going, I'm really worried about Sam Bennett anchoring that, third or fourth line, right? It's Bedard that you're scared of. It's Celebrini that you're scared of. And there's something to be said with taking the guys. You would hope. You would hope, but honestly, like, it one bad turnover that we all just jump on and talk about for a couple of days can knock them right down the list. And it's and look, it is Team Canada. It's tough. There's a lot of guys making strong cases to be on that team, but I think you got to take those two guys, and that's even before you think ahead to down the line and go, let's get these guys some experience, because 4 years from now, there's not going to be a debate. 4 years from now, it's going to be, these guys are going to be the key players on that team. So let's get them the experience now. Let's get them in there. And you don't have to necessarily play them on the first line. You don't have to play them 20 minutes a night. And in fact, you don't even have to play them at all, because it is the expanded roster. There's some extra forwards and room that you've got. But get them there. Let them have the experience so that 4 years from now, when it's their team, they're ready to go.
I've spent the last week checking in with some folks, some hockey men, to write the obligatory, what are we watching from Bedard and Celebrini and Leo Carlsson to some extent. I would be shocked if Celebrini wasn't on the roster, because I think what he's done, not just this year, but this past season, I think he already has the rep of being a 200, like, pick your cliche, pick your descriptor, 200-foot player, incredibly high compete, like next level competitive ability that's going to allow him, if they need to play him farther down the lineup. I think that's what's going to win out with Celebrini, is that he has that body of work, and he certainly has that reputation, among people with the mindset that you see from the Team Canada brass, that they're going to be able to say, he can play on a third line, or he can play on a fourth line, or he can play on a second line. Like, just we can do what we want with this kid. I think there was some degree, and granted this is before last night, but there is still some degree of trepidation with Bedard, where it's like, if he's not in the top six, like, what do you do with him? And do I think that's right? I don't. I think you keep him, at minimum, you keep him as a spare, and you play him in a couple games, and you can say, like, we have Connor Bedard to play on the second line if we want. But I think where we're at now, based on some conversations I've had, I think Celebrini, I would be truly, truly shocked if he wasn't on the roster. Bedard maybe still has some work to do, but it's not going to take much. Like you guys said, there's going to be these moments from now until the selection, until selection day, where you're going to see stuff, and you're going to be like, what else is there? What more do we have to see? Like, I'm sold. And I think those moments are happening, especially with Bedard, in quick succession.
I also wonder if you're selecting Team Canada, you got to look at this two ways, right? We talked about the goaltending position and maybe the uncertainty around who would be the other goalies behind Binnington. We know Binnington's going to be there, and hopefully, like, I'm probably more confident than others that he'll find his game once we get closer to it. But let's just say that Canada's got a question mark as far as what they're getting in net when they get to that tournament. Does Canada look at it and say, okay, do we need to just really button this thing up defensively and go with more of like a defensive roster because we want to help out, the goaltending position as much as possible? Or do they look at it and say, the goals could go in. We need to be able to score 5 in a game, which okay, that seems extreme, but like that's the way you're looking at it. We could win a shootout type game if we had to, and that leads us to bringing a little more firepower. I'd be curious to hear how they handle that conversation, because if you really dumb it down, like if you really want to dumb down your team, then I believe you run the risk of what Team Canada has done at the World Juniors the past couple of years. Way too into role definition, which is fine to have role definition, don't get me wrong, but a little too much into it, and you leave too much firepower at home and on the table, and then when you need one, you're screwed. And that's the end of your tournament, and it doesn't take much for that to happen, as we saw. Like, junior level is a little different than NHL level, of course, but that's what would concern me if they're looking at it saying, let's just bring the most lock-it-down team we could possibly have, but we forgot to bring the scoring as well.
Yeah, that's the dreaded ghost roster approach, right? From way back in '98 that got Rob Zamner on the team instead of Mark Messier because they decided we need a checking winger who can kill penalties. Who's the best guy in the league? Oh, Rob Zamner's that guy? All right, we bring him. And the difference, and I think the evolution in that thinking has been the realization that, all right, you need a checking winger who can kill penalties. Guess what? Mitch Marner might have 100 points, but on this team, he could be that guy, or somebody else can move down and be that guy because they're so skilled and they're so good. Now, can a 19-year-old or a 20-year-old do that? That's the question. And you're right, Frankie. Like, it's the big question. I just feel like we know what the answer is going to be from the sort of people who make these teams, which is going to be, let's lock it down. I don't think they're going to build a team that's designed to beat the United States 5-4. I think they're going to want to win 2-1. I think they're going to look back at that 2010 team or the 2014 team where nobody could get a sniff and it was just 1-0 wins. And you know what? It was boring. Nobody remembers anything that happened in that tournament other than Canada won the gold medal and everybody was happy. They might be looking at it the same way, going, you know what? We don't have to entertain anyone. We've got to just lock it down, and everybody will like that. And your crusty uncle will think that's the right way to play, right up until there's 5 minutes left in a gold medal game against the United States, and it's 2-1 for Team USA. And you're looking down the bench going, I don't think Anthony Cirelli's a guy we want to be throwing out there.
I was waiting for him to take some shrapnel. I knew Cirelli's name was going to come up. Unfair. Frankie, where are you at the rest of the week, bud? You got
buddy,
games?
I got your team tomorrow. I got the Washington Capitals in Montreal.
Yo.
We got them coming to town, so we got a good look at them.
What games are we watching tonight? We got Oilers, Caps. We got Flames, Sabres. We can scratch that one off the list. Canes Wild with first line Wild center Danila Yurov, as I read Michael Russo writing this morning. Uh-oh. Bruins Ducks in the 10 p.m. slot.
I'll watch that. I'll watch Ducks
right.
any chance I get, man. They are entertaining regardless. And I'll watch the Caps because I got to know what's going on for tomorrow's game. Back-to-back Jacks.
Simple.
Yeah.
127 days till your birthday, by the way, Frankie. As producer Jeff has let us know. 127 days until Frankie Corrado's birthday. And
Frankie, I'm not saying
awaited.
I'm not saying it's going to be a big party, but I don't think you're making it to the end of that night.
We love it. Take it easy, bud. Talk to you next week.
All right, boys. See you later.
All right, there goes Frankie. Just me and McIndoe. My friend, we've learned things this week, have we not?
I have. I learned 2 things this week, actually. So twice as much as I normally learn. And the first
take a
one,
nap this afternoon, man.
I'm just going to tease this. I learned something this week about the NHL standings that I honestly think I have discovered a new immutable law of the hockey universe. And it's important, and it's going to have a big effect, potentially on 2 teams. And you're going to see that probably on Friday from me. So that's the tease for what I'm
That is a classic DGB tease.
Now, the other thing that I'll talk about is I was watching some highlights of the Rangers and the Golden Knights last night, And what I learned is that Rangers captain JT Miller, who loves to yell at people and talk about effort and all that stuff, he's got to really sit down and have a heart-to-heart with Rangers player JT Miller about the lack of effort on one goal in particular, where he just, it's the old unplugged controller meme. Remember the Ovechkin one that we all like just absolutely ripped him for years and years and years way back when?
That's been stuck in my brain for like 15 years now, or however long it's been. Yes.
Yeah, because it was so obvious. If you haven't seen it, JT Miller had one last night that was almost as bad. And this was on the, I think it was the second Golden Knights goal, like the 2-0 goal in the second period. So this wasn't like, hey, it's 7-2 and we're losing and there's no time left, so who cares? Which would not be, you would not excuse that, but maybe in the context you might understand it. No, this is just JT Miller just kind of going, you know what? I'll let somebody else handle this. And not a good look for anybody. Definitely not a good look for a captain, and definitely not a good look for a captain in a big market who loves to go in front of cameras and talk about how everyone else's effort isn't good enough and everyone else isn't working hard enough. And boy, he might have to look in the mirror, and he'd probably prefer looking at the mirror to looking at that footage when it comes out in the tape breakdown.
We get someone ask Elias Pettersson about that play today, perhaps?
Yeah, I wonder if he'd have anything that he might want to say.
Something tells me he's got an opinion on it. I learned a wonderful bit of news from Peter Baugh a couple days ago. Everyone lost their mind over the Red Wings versus the Rangers a few days back on Sunday. It was a red jersey versus a blue jersey. That's something we've seen in just such short supply over the years. It was a thing to a degree that I didn't realize until Monday morning when I opened up my, For You page, and it was just people losing their marbles over it. Pete was on it, and he got an NHL spokesperson to say basically that they're encouraging more teams to do this. That's a big bit of breaking news there, because it's one of those things, man. Sean, I know you and I have talked about this at one time or another. There's no reason why this shouldn't happen. We love to see the color flood. And I know, it's unfair to make assumptions about every single fan watching NHL hockey in 2025, but I think it's fair to say that there aren't many that are doing it on black and white televisions.
Probably not a ton.
Not a ton.
I feel like Lou Lamoriello, and that's maybe it.
Lamoriello, he's got the rabbit ears up, even though those don't even work anymore. So we can look forward to this, I think, is the big takeaway. Like, the league's encouraging it. It takes some amount of effort. Like, you got to get equipment managers and the broadcasters to sign off on it, which is all well and good. Certainly not going to do it if you want to have the Predators in yellow versus the Penguins in yellow. Like, I don't know why you'd want that in the first place. But it does feel like it's one of those things that thankfully we're going to see more of. And people don't have to, whenever it does happen, they don't have to feel sad that it doesn't happen more frequently. So it's good news.
The most famous example of this in this era was the Big House game between the Leafs and the Red Wings, where again you had the blue and the red, and everybody loved it. And to their credit, the NHL saw that, they heard their fans, and they said, at some point in the next dozen years or so,
see you in 15 years, everybody,
we will get around to making this incredibly simple change. It makes life a little tougher on the equipment managers, but that's okay, because the equipment managers don't vote on this stuff. It's the GMs who decide everything. So as long as it doesn't make a GM's life tougher, then it's going to be completely fine. But I look forward to hearing about why this is actually way more complicated than us fans realize, and maybe it can actually be done.
Folks, if you ever see something cool happening in the league, just remember, you got to ask yourself, what does this mean for the general managers? How do the GMs feel about this? Because that's what matters more than
somebody anything. Think of the GMs.
McIndoe, what's up? Okay, so you got your Friday post teased up.
Yeah, that's it. And I've got a post that is probably out now. I didn't even check, but I decided to rank every single time the Toronto Maple Leafs have ever traded away their own first-round pick. And it turns out
we're there. We're at that point in the season already. Good.
Well, it felt timely. And it ended up being, as with many things like this that I try to do, it ended up being a longer list than I thought, and probably a much longer list than my editors thought they were getting when I pitched them the idea.
How's this 7,500 words long?
That's about right.
Come on. Hey, they won last night. We made it through a whole show without talking about them in any kind of substance. Big fan of that.
Yeah, good for us.
Just keep it up next week. Start the streak at 2.
That's one of our words that you're not allowed to say anymore on this, this podcast. Leafs.
Leafs. Thank you, buddy. And thank you, Frankie, wherever you are. Thank you, folks, for listening to this Athletic Hockey Show. 3 of us are back next Wednesday. I'm back tomorrow with old Jesse Granger. Haley's also checking in from Vancouver. She's there for PWHL stuff. That season's coming up. She's going to preview some of that. Also go into some other interesting stuff she's been working on. That's tomorrow. But until then, this is the Wednesday show.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe and ring the bell to stay informed and catch new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And in the meantime, you can join our Discord community. We'll see you there.